Or it'll take a day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right. All right, thank you. We would like to begin this transmission by reminding you that it is titled Mirror, Mirror. The idea behind this concept is that you have for some time known that certain things that exist in your physical reality, certain things that exist in the cosmos, can sometimes function as permission slips or symbols or reflections of things going on in not only your individual consciousness, but the collective consciousness of your world. So the idea is that these reflections can be looked at, can be understood in a manner as to reveal and illuminate some of the changes going on within you that you may not necessarily immediately see physically, but can give you an idea of what's happening deep within your consciousness that may ultimately move forward and crystallize enough to begin to experience those reflections in your physical world. One such thing that you have used for some time is the permission slip that you have called astrology, where you are looking to the signs and symbols in the stars and planets to be somewhat representative or reflective of certain themes you have chosen to experience in life. Now again, these things do not in any way, shape, or form control you, but they can reflect what's already been laid down by you from a higher level of consciousness. And in using them as that symbolic mirror, it can, depending upon whether you have an affinity for that particular kind of sensing, be used to help bring insight to the things that may not be immediately evident within your consciousness, things that might be in your unconscious mind, your subconscious mind, revealing more about yourself to yourself in such a manner as to allow you to move forward in your life in a more clear and conscious way. But we would like to address and use this concept in a different way now. We have begun to talk about, in these transmissions, the changes that are now going on your planet. Obviously, you are having a lot of fun in your country at this particular moment. As we said, as the ramifications of all the things that changed in the fall of 2016. So let us continue to illuminate some of the things now that are going on and represented in the cosmos as to what is physicalizing in your world. We have discussed from time to time the idea of parallel realities, and that the concept of you experiencing time is actually your consciousness shifting through billions of different versions of Earth, billions of different parallel realities every single second, and by doing so creating this illusion you call time and space and change. But we have also begun to remind you that as you now recognize many different people think in one way and other people think and believe in another way, and others and others and others, you are beginning to see what appears to be a divided culture, polarization, all sorts of very opposing opinions, and so on and so forth. But you're seeing far more than that. The idea is that you're actually beginning to see the splitting physically, not metaphorically anymore, the splitting physically into different parallel reality tracks. We have used the analogy before of different train tracks leaving a station. And if you are on one train, you may still be able to look across and see the other train that is leaving the station next to you, but eventually those tracks will diverge. And over time, you will find that it will be more of a challenge to see the other trains on the other tracks or even reach those other trains, and eventually you will no longer see them at all. You'll be in your own reality experience, only experiencing the things that are relevant for the train that you are on. Now, the idea is that this split has now begun to happen physiologically. You may not immediately recognize this because you can still see what's going on the other trains. You can still see that there are people who are vibrating at different frequencies from you that are vibrationally incompatible with what you may be experiencing or prefer to experience in your reality. Nevertheless, just because you can still see them doesn't necessarily mean that you actually are existing physically in the same reality. At this particular moment in the split, it is transparent enough and close enough in frequency that you can still perceive other parallel realities, but you have actually started to diverge physiologically into different parallel time tracks. The symbol that represents this idea in the cosmos with the stars and the planets has been scientific discoveries that you have made in recent times. The first one of significance being that your astronomers discovered what you would call a relatively Earth-like planet around your closest star, Proxima Centauri, that could possibly support life as you understand it. The idea of your search for Earth-like planets is part and parcel of your consciousness understanding that you are splitting into different parallel versions of Earth. So it's reflected by the fact that the first one you've discovered is around the next closest star to you, and that right there, as soon as you discovered and recognized that idea, was the beginning of the actual physical split into different Earths. But you started with the idea of yours and that one. So immediately you created the idea of two completely separate, different parallel time tracks, parallel reality experiences of the idea of an Earth. As many of you know, however, more recently, your astronomers have reported that they discovered another star system, what you call a red dwarf by the name of TRAPPIST-1, that actually has, amazingly enough, 7 Earth-like planets orbiting it. That's a very rare find. And the fact that you actually found it that quickly is another indication of the timing of the splitting into parallel realities. And so you went then from 2 all of a sudden to 9, including the 7, the one around Proxima Centauri, and your own. So now you have a cosmic reflection of the fact that the split into parallel realities is now inclusive of 9 different parallel tracks. This will continue as you discover more and more Earth-like planets around other stars that will continue to represent and symbolize energetically and reflectively the idea of the actual physical splitting into different parallel tracks. And as this gains momentum, you will begin to experience more of the physical results of that split. Being able to know that you can accelerate in the direction that you prefer to experience, and experience over time less and less and less of those parallel tracks that contain realities you don't prefer to experience. Again, this may take a little time, but that's all right. We're simply letting you know that what's going on now is beyond metaphor, is beyond something that's just happening as a concept. It is actually now physically splitting, even though you may not immediately be able to see that. The signs that it is truly happening physically will also grow stronger over time. Now, remember, again, it doesn't matter so much what's happening in the realities that you can still see and perceive. It really matters most what you do with that, how you respond to that, even if it doesn't appear to be changing outwardly. So the idea that we gave you before about the fact that perhaps prior to the great changes that happened in your fall of 2016, you felt like maybe you were floating down a little peaceful stream. And then suddenly, as those changes occurred in an unexpected way, you found yourself being jostled by rapids. But as we have said, if you learn how to ride the rapids, if you learn how to balance yourself and go through the rapids in a balanced way, you will actually be able to get downstream much, much faster than originally you would have. So the idea also is coupled with the fact that since what happened for so many people was tremendously unexpected, it allows you to go within your mind, well, if that could happen, if something that unexpected could happen, anything can happen. All bets are off, as you say in your city. And therefore, you can now use the idea of the unexpected to your advantage to know that if that can happen, then anything that I'm dreaming of that's true for me can also happen. So you can use that energy, even though it may be representative to many people of things they don't prefer, you can use that energy to accelerate you in the direction that you do by letting go of how it appears and just using the momentum that it has caused and the breakout that it has caused, breaking from the status quo that it has caused, to know that now you are actually more free than before to create the reality experience that you prefer, and the reflection in the cosmos of all the different Earth-sized planets you are now discovering are a reflection that you have started that physical split. And the more you stay in the energy and the state of being that you prefer to be, and the more you act from that state in your life, and the more you define everything that happens in your life in a way that allows you to extract a positive and beneficial effect from it, the sooner and stronger you will experience the physicality of the splits into the different parallel realities that we are now discussing with you. And you will see things changing within your world in ways you couldn't have imagined before, in ways you never would have thought could actually occur. But you will see an acceleration in this between now, specifically, your years of 2020. There will be many different things going on. If you take advantage of them in all the ways your imagination can, in positive ways, you will find that by the end of that period, you're going to be in a very different place in your lives, a place that would be more reflective and more conducive to experiencing your truth, your preference, in the way that you know is aligned with your core essential being. So, in looking to these reflections and paying attention to the discoveries that you're making in the outer reality reflection, you can then gauge what is really going on within the collective consciousness and even within your own individual consciousness as you become more and more aware of these symbols reflecting these ideas to you. Is this making sense to you? Yes. All right. So please have fun with it. Don't worry. Don't react to the things that you don't prefer, because remember, even if something crops up in your life you don't prefer, it's still there for a reason you can use in a positive way. Make it part of your excitement that things crop up you don't prefer, because it's going to give you an opportunity to see, by contrast, what it is you do prefer more clearly. That's how to use that in a positive way, instead of simply matching the vibration of what you don't prefer by moping about it. The idea is nothing affects you until you agree to be affected. You are changing your own energy to match the frequencies of things you believe are true. So watch your definitions and create new definitions that work for you, instead of just assuming that the ones that don't work for you are facts that you cannot change. The only facts that exist in your creation are the 5 facts we call the 5 laws. You exist, everything is here and now. The one is all, the all are one. What you put out is what you get back. Everything changes except the laws. Everything else other than those facts are not facts. They are perspectives, they are opinions, they are beliefs. And you can change every single one of those. Make sense? Yes. All right. We thank you for allowing us to reflect this back to you this day in this magic mirror. And we ask in return, what way may we now be of service to you? You may begin with your dialogues and questions if you wish. All right, I'll say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right. All right. If we understand your response, you are all woo. We thank you for the co-creation once again of this interaction. We would like to begin this transmission with the idea of navigating the splitting prism of parallel realities. Now, as we have said in other transmissions, what you are experiencing on your planet at this time is a juncture, a junction point, a pivot point, especially coming up in your year of 2020, which symbolically represents the idea not only of clear vision forward, but also the idea of 2020 hindsight. And in gathering together all the lessons you have learned, all the information that you need to move forward with clarity in that pivotal year and the years to follow. Even though you may think, as we have said, that you are all sharing one particular reality, you are not. You are creating your own version, your own simulation through agreements, telepathically connected agreements with each other to create what appears to be the same reality. But each of you is creating your own. And many of you now are beginning to realize, as your society continues forward, that there are many individuals who are choosing different expressions of reality that are not necessarily in alignment with the kind of experience that you prefer to have on your planet. Or again, more precisely, on your planets. Because there are multiple versions of Earth simultaneously coexisting here. And the idea is that now the splitting prism has moved forward enough that there are starting to be, in between all of these different parallel realities, a kind of borderline, a kind of barrier. You can liken it to the idea, as we have said, of a glass wall. You can see through it to the other realities, to the people that are not necessarily choosing things that are vibrationally compatible with the kind of reality experience you prefer. But that doesn't mean that they can affect you, because they can no longer really reach you with their vibration, except by your choice to mirror or mimic what you're seeing on the other side of the glass. But there is no other effect than that. Your choice to believe that you must be affected by them is you creating that effect in your reality, your discrete parallel reality. So as you move forward, recognizing that each of you is in your own reality, literally, and that you can make more and more agreements with those that are more vibrationally compatible with what you prefer to, again, continue to generate simulations of these realities for yourselves that do harmonize with those that are vibrationally compatible with you, and disharmonize or become more discoherent with those that are not vibrationally compatible with what you prefer. The split becomes wider and wider. The walls of glass become, in a sense, thicker and thicker and thicker. Now, the idea of navigating through what's happening in this splitting is to allow yourself the opportunity to not only follow the formula that we have given you that is representative of the instruction manual of how reality works, which is act on your passion to the best you can, no assumption, no insistence on the outcome, and remaining in a positive state, no matter how things look, in order to extract a beneficial effect. Along with that, there is another element that now becomes more crucial, more important as the days unfold, as the years unfold, going forward in your sense of time and space. We have discussed from time to time the difference in the language between your higher mind, which is non-physical, and your physical mind. The higher mind, being non-physical, has a language of energy vibration, resonance. Now, all things operate on resonance of energy, but it is from the higher mind purely an energetic transmission. And when your body receives this like an antenna, it translates, as we have said, this vibrational language from the higher mind as the physical sensation you call passion, excitement, creativity, love. But your response can not only be in energy. It cannot only be in words. The language of physical reality is physical actions. And therefore, this is why it is so crucial to act on your passion, not just think about it, not only just meditate on it, not only just give off loving energy to everyone. All these things help. But the physical action seals the deal, completes the circuit, grounds the effect. And the physical acts you take that are in alignment with the reality you prefer, instead of just wishing or hoping that your reality will shift into more and more of a representation. The physical actions you take will actually start to crystallize that reality much, much more quickly, much more coherently for you. That's how you navigate through all of these splitting prisms, taking yourself by acting on your passion, steering that rudder, being the vibration of the reality you prefer to experience so you can navigate toward it more and more every day in every way. But along with that, it is crucial to really take the physical actions necessary to really home in on that reality, to demonstrate by your actions the reflection that you ultimately will see in that reality. So, for example, we have sometimes been asked questions such as, if I am in my reality and I see something happening that is what I don't prefer, should I help? Yes, because it is the action of being of assistance that belongs in the reality you prefer. That's one of the expressions of the reality that most of you, theoretically, would prefer. That when someone gives off a signal that they might require assistance, that you actually take the action of assisting them somehow. It isn't that, again, you have to expect a particular outcome from that, but it is the action itself, the offering itself, that makes all the difference. And whatever comes to fruition from that will again crystallize and solidify the reality of your preference. But the actions are key. We got another question recently about the idea of, if I'm in my reality and I'm walking along and I see a piece of trash on the ground, should I pick it up? Yes, if you don't prefer it to be in your reality. You have to demonstrate through your actions what this reality you prefer would actually be like, where people would automatically do those kinds of things. You have to be the first, foremost living example of the behaviors that belong in the realities you prefer. By being that physical example and demonstrating those behaviors, others will see that. Others who wish to align with the similar kinds of realities, create those kinds of realities for themselves, will see that, and they may realize that those are the kinds of behaviors that are representative of those kinds of realities, and you will have given them an opportunity to see, through you, someone in their preferred reality doing something that represents the kind of reality they prefer. So you become a living example to them, and an example and a solidifier and a crystallizer to yourself by actually undertaking those kinds of actions that are representative of the reality in the way you would also prefer to see others behaving. Getting a reflection of that kind of consciousness, of that kind of conscientiousness, of that kind of awareness, and the willingness to take action on it to demonstrate what that reality really looks like and what the people living in that reality would actually, naturally, automatically do. Is this making some sense? So the idea then is, as you go through life, as you act on your passion, best you can, as you let go of the insistence on what the outcome should look like, as you remain by choice in a positive state no matter what happens, so that you can derive the benefit from that circumstance. Also, put yourselves out there. Take the actions that are representative of that passion. Don't hesitate. Don't hold back. If you feel like you need to express yourself through writing, write. If you need to express yourself through painting, paint. If you need to express yourself through acting, act. In some way, shape, or form, express your creativity, express who you are through the physical actions on a daily basis, so that others may see through you as a living example what that reality looks like and what the citizens of that reality do. And it will start to really bleed through. It will start to rub off on others who are even minorly willing to navigate in that direction. So each of you becomes a crystallized nodal point, a magnetic nodal point that starts to attract more and more like-minded people, even if their vibration is not exactly aligned. You can act as a magnetic nodal point to, again, give them more opportunity to realize, oh, this looks more like the reality I prefer. I see the actions of these people here. That looks more like the reality I prefer. And so I myself will also take those actions so that they can see something similar in the reflection that I am to them. Don't hesitate. Remember, please remember, if you have a gift to give, that means there has to be someone waiting to receive it. Otherwise, you wouldn't be excited about having that gift, about expressing yourself that way. So please do not deprive others of the gift that they are waiting to receive from you. Let go. Open up. Take the actions every day, as best as you can, every moment that you can, on the things that give you joy. Don't just muse about them. Don't just wish. Don't just think. Don't just meditate. These are all wonderful states of being, but the action completes the circuit. It completes the cycle, and it allows the higher mind to know that you actually heard the message it sent you through passion, because you are speaking in the language of physical reality, and therefore you are creating a space by taking those actions that allow the higher mind to not only know you heard it, but that you're willing to handle more opportunities that it could send your way through passion of what it is that is representative of your true self. For if you do not act on the things it's already sent you, why should it send you anymore? It would be pointless. So the more you act, the more space you make for more opportunities to act on your excitement, to act on your passion. You create this cycle, and it expands and expands and expands. So again, even though there may be those that you see through the glass walls into another reality that are behaving vibrationally incompatible with what you prefer, at the very least, by being your true selves and taking these actions that are representative of the reality, the version of Earth you prefer, you are even giving them an opportunity, because they can see you too. You are at least giving them an opportunity to know there might be another choice they could make. There might be another path they could take. Not that they have to. This is not about insistence. It's about allowance. It's about demonstration to show that there are options. And in that way, with those actions and being a living example of that reality through your actions, do you solidify and crystallize for yourself the reality, the version of Earth that is truly more vibrationally compatible with the reflection that you would prefer to see. And bit by bit, you take steps more and more every day toward that reality, waiting a little bit to some degree for some others to catch up, but not to the point where it holds you back. Make sense? All right. Up to you to decide how this works for you, but take the actions that you can.